We're Josh and Siena, husband and wife, and we run our video agency together in northern Michigan. We've been in the program with Ridge for about a year now, actually as of yesterday, I think. So first mastermind we went to actually was like 5-6 months ago, and it was super exciting because we had just decided to start, really fully implementing everything and taking action, and got like our first client through the whole framework that's kind of laid out here in the program, and that was super exciting. But now after 3-4 months of just actually continuing to take action, we've gone from $950 MRR, which didn't even cover any expenses, to now we're sitting at $15K MRR with, over the last 2 months, average income of $18,000. And just being in the community now, it's like so many limiting beliefs, like self-limiting beliefs, have just been, basically dismantled. And it's such a great community to be a part of, because now our goal, like our next milestone that we're trying to hit, is 40K MRR. And if you would have told me that would be my goal a year ago when we joined this program, I probably would have laughed at you.
Same. Yeah, when we actually first joined, I remember Reggie asking us, like, how are you guys doing? Like, business going well? And we're like, yeah, we're doing great. Everything's totally fine. And then he started to ask more questions, and we're kind of starting to realize, like, wait, maybe we're not doing as great, and maybe our income is not as consistent as we thought it was, because at the time we were doing weddings and portraits, and we were very proud of ourselves because we thought we were doing great. And then we realized, wait, this is not as consistent as we want it to be. And Ridge really helped us basically implement a system that is a lot more just consistent and a lot less stressful, which has been awesome. So the feeling that came with this whole process was, in the beginning, very terrifying and overwhelming. I'll tell you that. It was hard because it's such a new concept that we were trying to basically understand, and it was honestly a lot of analysis paralysis for us. And as soon as we got out of that, with basically the group helped a lot with that, Ridge helped with that, and really kind of guiding us in the right direction, all of a sudden we started to feel a lot less stressed and a lot more confident in what we were doing as well.
So when we first joined the program, I remember we had a conversation about it, like kind of the pivotal moment where we were making that decision. Are we going to make the investment and do this or not? And honestly, our thought process was, you know what, worst case scenario, we learn something. Either we learn how to grow and scale our business and make a lot of money, or we learn not to trust ads from people online and we would be scammed. Thankfully, it was not the latter, it was the former.
Not at all. And honestly, the first mastermind we went to, we honestly didn't know what to expect, because of course we'd only been to the online meetings and everything. And even though that had been valuable, we're like, okay, we got to go to a mastermind. We got to see this in real life and see who are these people that they say that they can make so much money, and even monthly. And then we came to the mastermind, and one of the biggest realizations we had is that there's literally nothing special about these other people, because they're also just people. It's they're not Einstein either. And then we kind of realized, wait, hold on. It's not that, the only difference between us and them is that basically they're believing that they can do it. And then we also really started to get the belief in ourselves.
And taking the action. The difference between those who are successful in seeing results with the program versus those who are maybe a little bit more stagnant, like ourselves at the time, was the action takers.
Yeah.
So the people who sat there and overthought and had to perfect the entire process, yours truly, weren't really going anywhere. But as soon as we said, no, we need to take action, and we trust that the community and that Ridge even has our back to support us through that process, even though it was scary, to implement a new offer, to implement all these new concepts. Yeah, as soon as we decided to do that, and then being in the same room as people, realizing that they were doing that too, that dismantled the limiting beliefs. So then we took action, and now we see the result.
Massive imperfect action.
As of probably just 2 weeks ago, we are now making the most money consistently that we ever have, while also having the most time that we've ever had. And it's the weirdest feeling.
So weird.
Because it's always this ideal of something that, we are trying to reach and trying to get to. And obviously we're not, it's still, there's so much more that we want to accomplish and ways that we want to grow, and we even have the roadmap in front of us for how we're planning to get there. But even just where we're at currently, of course there's days where it's overwhelming being a business owner. It is for everyone. But overall, having the amount of time that we do now, while not having the stress of, are we going to be able to make rent and pay the bills means that we can still spend time with our friends on the weekend. We can still impromptu go see my family even during the week. We can be involved in people's lives who we care about. And with Siena being from the Netherlands, her family doesn't even live in the country. So now we're already in a position where we can feel way more comfortable with being able to go to the Netherlands and to see her family. Or even just recently, her family came here and they stayed with us for a week, and we didn't have to worry about having to work the entire time because we had the systems in place, we had the time and the revenue to not stress.
Yeah, the amount of time freedom that we have right now, I never expected to have this much time freedom with like the work we did before, like the system that we're implementing right now. Like before, this wouldn't have worked. Like we spent so much time on minuscule tasks, and now, yeah, it's just crazy how much the program basically gives you the tools to make sure that you can create that freedom for yourself, but also that you can keep scaling and keep growing.
Our biggest problem the other day was Siena came to me and said, "What am I supposed to do now? I have nothing to do.
Yep.
My to-do list is empty."
Yep, I've been replaced, y'all.
I think if you're debating on whether or not you should take the leap in that sense to join the program, I mean, there's a few things that you should ask yourself first, because the reality is it is a leap, right? There's obviously no guarantee of any outcome with anything. And ultimately, I think what has the biggest determining factor of whether or not you can find success by going through this program has to do with your willingness to take action. Yeah, that's kind of the thing at the end of the day. Like if you're someone who's willing to take massive imperfect action and the state that you're in right now is not one that you want to stay in, then yeah, I'd say it's hard for it to not be a success, because just our personal experience with how it's gone so far. We took the action, did the inputs, and now we're seeing the outputs.
Yeah, and also very much like you have to be ready in some ways to put yourself out of your comfort zone, because it's gonna be real uncomfortable for a while, but the results from that is like you just grow. And it's so cool once you start putting yourself out of your comfort zone, you just want to keep doing that. And it's kind of like this weird feeling. It's just like, why do I want to put myself out of my comfort zone? It's because you like, and why we want to do that is because every time we put ourselves out of our comfort zone, we grow.
The reason why I think this outcome is something that's even achievable is because of the community backing the program. Like, Ridge is obviously a huge asset with his experience, his knowledge, and the one-on-one coaching and all of that. And the amount of resources and templates and things in the program, also super helpful. But I think for us, even the biggest thing was just the community behind it. And like we mentioned before, just coming into the same space as these people and having conversations. And you're in the same space as people who are wanting to do the same thing. And it's not just make a ton of money for the sake of making money. It's make a ton of money because it opens up the space to do things that are more fulfilling, to make a difference in the world, to be more involved with the people they care about. And when you see people actually reaching that level of success, and you realize that they're no different than you, except maybe they've just put in different inputs to get those outputs, you realize that you're capable of doing that too. And that's the coolest feeling.
So one of the things that we didn't do in the beginning was having separate roles. Josh and I didn't really know how to separate our roles to make it most effectively as possible, because the reality is you're with two people. So you have twice the amount of people, twice the amount of basically workload that you can handle. And one thing that really helped for us was really both having our own responsibilities, but within the program also both having training for those responsibilities. So for example, I take on sales and Josh does a lot of the fulfillment. And within the program, there's just like trainings for sales and trainings and help with fulfillment. So in that sense, it's really cool how, there in all aspects you can learn something.